Since Alex has been in the lineup for you at center, how have you sort of evaluated his performance?
Yeah, I think he's done well. He's a real good communicator, very smart. And so getting up to the line of scrimmage, he's done a great job identifying the defense, setting protections. I think he's played well. But the big thing is just how well he controls the line of scrimmage, and everyone's got confidence in his calls, and I think he's done well.
You mentioned when he first stepped in when Luke got hurt that it was competitive, obviously,
Yeah.
in camp. Is that this time of year, if you do get Luke back, does that qualify as a good problem to have in terms of figuring out sort of how you...
Yeah, depth's always good. So, we'll see how Alex is doing, but, we've got a lot of confidence in both those guys.
Sean's used the term calm pressure looks for both. I asked him last week about staying in tempo, and he said, well, calms.
Yeah.
Just talk about that process a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, they obviously do a real good job with that. Just tempo. You're just trying to maybe limit their substitutions. Every team has a third down package, and sometimes it's a third down personnel group. So if you can keep their second down group on the field, maybe there's less they can do, and just cut down the time they have to communicate. Just basic stuff. Kansas City, you can see they've got the ability to do a lot of stuff even when you're tempoing. So it doesn't solve every problem, but just put the pressure on the defense where they don't have as much time to orchestrate whatever their third down plan is.
Sean said we can see more Audric Estimate forward. What does Audric bring to the table? Maybe the other two backs don't, or that gives you confidence in playing?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything specific. I mean, he and Javonte both are, big, strong, powerful guys, and just a talented player that we'll keep getting a look at.
When you have a guy who, he's put the ball on the ground a couple times,
Yeah.
he hasn't had a lot of reps, how do you sort of walk the line between coaching him where you want to retain confidence too?
Yeah, obviously it's something that we emphasize, and it's easier. You get their attention when they've had a couple fumbles, and so he's working hard on it. Obviously, if it's something that continues, it's going to be a bigger problem. But he's aware of it, and he'll be detailing his ball security. So I think we'll be all right there.
Joe, in terms of going back to the game against the Marlins, where you guys had a trick play in the goal line,
Yeah.
down, then both of these are Troy or fourth and short. In terms of trying to be aggressive as an offense, how do you find your spots to do that, or is it matchup driven, or how do you?
Yeah, I think matchup driven. We knew that was a really good offense, and we wanted to end drives with touchdowns in order to keep pace with them. And we were close on the one that you mentioned, didn't quite complete the pass. So there's always a risk, and you're going to draw a lot of attention and criticism, but you're just trying to do what's best to win the game. And I think Sean felt against Baltimore, going forward on fourth down was going to give us the best chance, and unfortunately we didn't convert them all. But it's just you're playing the odds at that point.
How much do you worry about a young guy like Bo after a tough loss in terms of how he comes back or how he managed coming off the field during different series during that game?
Yeah, I think we wasn't our first tough game. Our first two weren't real. We weren't doing great offensively, and just the same. He's he's a rookie, but he's got a lot of experience, and he's a professional. So just get on to the next play, get on to the next game, and he's got a good attitude with that kind of thing. So he's a mentally strong guy.
Chiefs have kind of shifted a little bit to where they were outscoring at the beginning of Mahomes' career. Now their defense is arguably their strongest unit. Where have you seen the changes on defense within the last couple of years that's made it stronger?
Yeah, I think they were always a team that thrived on knocking you off schedule, and so there was just a ton of blitzes, and they're always trying to get that negative play and put you behind the chains. And I think just their run defense. I'm not sure they're less aggressive with the blitzes, but I don't think they rely on it as much because they're just playing more sound on those early downs. It sounds probably the wrong word, but they're just more successful on those early downs where, before you're like, all right, we can get those 5-6 yard gains and we got to avoid the negative play, and it's a lot harder to get those right now. And, they're playing the run real well and, pressuring the quarterback and they still have enough pressure stuff that it puts a lot of stress on you.
So Joe, with that, there's a lot of game records in this league, right? And oftentimes you know where they're going to line up, whether it's an edge guy or whatever. The way Chris Jones moves.
Yeah.
How's that preparation different when you know he might just try to pick a spot throughout the game? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, how's that preparation different when he moves?
No, it makes it a lot harder. It's nice if you can set your tight end and know exactly where he's going to be and set your protections that way. So, but he'll be strong, he'll be weak, he'll be on the end, and so you just they do such a good job because obviously you got to be aware where he is, and then you're like, all right, are they bringing a pressure away from it that we've got to slide the other way, and it just puts a lot of stress on the center and the quarterback trying to figure out how do we get help. So, we're not one-on-one with Chris Jones, but we don't have a free runner coming away from him. So it's, he's obviously a premium player that's, this is my 4th year, I guess, in this division. And, man, it's always a pain when you're playing him.
Obviously, with Coop signing the extension,
Yeah.
I'm curious, I guess, your reaction to that, but then also just the number of young players now,
Yeah.
players that you have sort of as you build a defensive core
Yeah.
of this group.
I think in this league, that's the way you have to build your team, right? You have to draft, develop, and resign. So watching Pat resign and Coop resign, so that's the way you do it, right? When you draft these kids, you kind of know who they are, and as you coach them up, it's a fine line between the football and the person stuff. So as time goes along, both kind of makes sense for us. So he's the right person and the right player for us. So that's very simple.
Against the Ravens, that wasn't the defense that we had seen
Yeah.
up until what
Sure.
intrigued me, what was the biggest?
Yeah.
It didn't look like pressure-wise that was the same as
Yeah.
the previous game.
I agree, Mike. It was a different kind of game for us. Obviously, the run game was our first priority to get stopped, and I thought we did that. But in the past game, it was more max protection stuff. It was majority 2- and 3-man routes. So to pressure that protection wouldn't make sense for us. Now we're pressuring a max protection and we're playing man coverage. Doesn't make sense. So when teams are maxing you up and running 2- and 3-man routes, you're forced to play coverage, right? That's the way you go with that. And in some of our coverages, it wasn't exact enough. He bought some time, obviously, but they made some plays in coverage, which I didn't expect them to do. But the run game was a priority. That was contained, but the pass game was not. Wasn't good enough.
Vance, how has Patrick Mahomes evolved? Because there was a time when that offense could kind of boat race you.
Sure.
Now there's more subtlety in the way that they attack. How has he evolved as a quarterback?
I think as their team has evolved, he's evolved, right? I mean, he is doing less, and they're winning more. It's the NFL. Once you pay your quarterback, it's tough to keep a lot of great players around him. They've drafted well on defense. They've drafted well on offense. So it's the new NFL. Once you pay that guy, I mean, he has to make you better, obviously, in a lot of spots. But he has to obviously, play winning football. That's what he's doing. I mean, it's kind of special to watch, right? He's doing a lot less, but they're winning more. For a quarterback, man, that's hard to convince them to do that, first of all. But he's doing it. It's a lot of close games. But when you watch the games, he can boat race you, when he has to. But he's being good with the football, not giving the football away. But it's a team philosophy, and it's working for him.
Travis Kelce hasn't had a crazy season numbers.
Right.
I've had a couple big games here. But what do you see from him even now in the third?
Again, I think it's the same thing. Those guys are playing winning football, They are running the football more often now than they have in the past. They're averaging like 30 carries a game. And that's slowing games down, and that's shortening games for their defense, who's playing really well. So, again, it's a team philosophy, and you have to – those guys to take a back seat, and still win games, that's special, man. That's why they've won for so long, and it's working for them now. So, and you watch the game on Monday, the offense got going when it had to get going. Those last 3 drives, man, it was the Chiefs' offense. Adding Hop obviously helps him, but the quarterback is capable of going off at any moment. But he is being really good with the football. He's playing team football, and it's working for him. Sure. We've got a really good young group, at the backer position. Obviously Tillman hadn't played for us in the last 3 weeks because Barron was back, but, Till will play some. We're getting Drew Saunders back, in the practice now. So it's a good group, and obviously, Barron is a really good player, but he wanted a chance to play more and to be a starter. So I'm happy for both sides. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
How much is that kind of battle, you think, determine what you guys can do by doing that?
Yeah. It's always a upfront game. Every NFL game you play on Sundays, it's O-line and D-line. That's where it starts. Even with this team we're playing now, they've been a pass-first team in the past, but now it's a run-first team now. And third downs, they're very, very good because they're in 3rd and 1 or 2 and 3 most of the time. So that's winning first and second down. But it's always a trench battle. It's a divisional game. It's going to be a run-first game on both sides probably, and who can win third downs. So that's the game we have to play on Sunday. Yeah. Well, it's a target he can find, and watching Hop, I mean, he's found his way quickly within the offense. I mean, this offense versus zones find soft spots all over the field, and he's doing those things right now. So it's looked seamless so far, but obviously having Hop, that provides one more target for him, and you have to cover Kelsey, and you got to cover, Hop. Now, Worthy, even Hunt out of the backfield, it's challenging. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has really good ball skills, right? So you better win the ball battle with Hop. I mean, Hop's an experienced guy. And, again, watching Hop, man, I was so impressed. He's only been there for about 2 or 3 weeks now, but it's been seamless. I mean, he looks like a Chiefs receiver. He finds the soft spots and zones. He's catching the ball. As Patrick scrambles, he finds the quarterback's eye. So it's been seamless for him, and it's obviously worked for him.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Good to be with you. Divisional game on the road for the second straight week, so it'll be a tremendous challenge for us, and we're looking forward to it. Our guys are excited to play. So, questions?
One of the things Sean mentioned on Monday when he was asked about the keys to having success the rest of the year is getting Martin Bowe on the board in return game. I guess where do you see the opportunities for him to make some of those big plays?
Yeah, I think you saw a flash of that last Sunday. He had the long return for just over 30 yards, obviously with the mutual penalties. That one got called back, and then we had one for just under 20. So that's a start in the right direction. We just got to get the opportunities. And so I think that our guys are working it. We did a little bit better job on the perimeter. And so I think a lot of times the focus goes to the returner. But, we took a deep dive this week, and it's a unity of effort. And so that, when I talk about that, is, yes, we'll get the returner gets the credit, which he should, but it's also the ability to stop the flyers or the gunners on the perimeter, and then the edge rushers, right? Make this punter uncomfortable where that hang time isn't as high, and then we get a little bit more room. So just got to get that opportunity, and it's a unity of effort in that phase of the game.
Sean pointed out halftime of the game was the exact halfway point of the season for you guys. Now you're at halfway mark. What have you seen like with the change in the kickoff rules from the return side, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's a positive step. I think that the numbers are up. Again, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but it's not exponentially. The numbers have increased. The rate's a little bit higher now than it was at this point last year, which is what we wanted. Again, from what we've been told, the injury data, especially the concussions and the long-run high-speed collisions, are down, and we're getting returns. So I think it's been a positive. It'll be interesting to see in the offseason what tweaks are made to it, which I think there'll be some adjustments, but that'll be determined. But so far, and I think that return rate is going to increase, especially with the weather turning a little bit colder, a little bit more wind. I think that'll be a little bit higher. So that's where I think we're at.
That game last week was kind of a funny one with your team going for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Is it hard to keep your special teams guys, mentally focused when, it's a game like that? Or
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges that you have as a player and as a coach, as far as when things aren't going your way, dealing with that adversity. You know, especially gave up a little bit of field position there and such. Fortunately, Mike, we got a really good group of guys. We got a good balance of a couple of veteran guys like a Tremont Smith, and obviously Riley and Will are more veteran guys. And mixing that with our young guys, we really like the composition of our group. And so, just excited about this game on the road against the division. It's a good special teams unit we'll be going against, so it'll be a good battle.
You mentioned the special teams unit. They've had their special teams coach for a long time now. Does that make it more difficult when a team has so much continuity on their special teams unit?
Well, I think you get a little bit of trends of what Coach Tobe has done over the years. He was in Chicago for many years where I went against him there, and then obviously here in Kansas City, a lot of respect for what he does. Got his group fundamentally sound. They play hard. So you have a little bit of trends of maybe some things that he done. The players kind of go in and out. It's a very transient deal. Obviously, the returner, Hardman's done a nice job. He's kind of given them a little bit of spark in the return game. They got the young punter who's driving the ball down the field a little bit. So you take that mix of a quality coach, and then they got some components there in that phase of the game, and that'll be the challenge that I'm talking about.
When you have a punter like they have, can really send the ball, does it change your coverage at all, or setting up a return? Can you out?
Yeah, sure, you can get that, and that's what we're hoping for from that standpoint. I think that what Mike was talking about a little bit, that field position, it's, again, a complementary football game, right? If we're able to stop them on their end of the field and force them to punt from their minus 15 or minus 20, now that gives you that opportunity where a punter may drive the ball down the field. Now you got more maneuver space with a dynamic returner like Marvin. So that's where the complementary football comes in, and I think that's what we got to get back to a little bit, and that's going to be key if we want to walk out of there with a win.
Any tricks to kick in or punting in their stadium?
I wouldn't say there's any tricks, Mike, but there is a little bit of wind. Fortunately, we were there last year, so both Riley and Will are familiar with it. And if you remember last year we played there, it was a cold. I think we played them on that Thursday night, right? It was a Thursday night. There was some wind and such. So the early indications is the weather is going to be pretty good. Might be a little bit of wind, but I wouldn't say there's any tricks. But there is definitely a wind that does move the ball out there in Arrowhead.